Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be for my review for the second show that I binged. Now, I didn't tell you guys what the second show was going to be. All I said was that it was an HBO comedy, and it was half an hour. And if you guys guessed Girls, then yeah, you were correct because this is going to be my review for seasons 1 to 3 of Girls. I binged the entire show. I don't know why I did. You don't really have to. You don't really have to binge Girls, but I decided to because I really want to see a show. I've really been interested in the show for a very long time. It really has been a show that I've been very, interested in. I've heard it's one of HBO's best shows. I've heard it really does comedy very, very well. It's very funny and things like that. And so I checked out Girls, and I gotta say, the show started off very, very mixed for me. And it continued that way. Really, this show is very mixed for me. I don't love this show. There's a lot of things I really like about this show. I don't think this is like the greatest show ever. I do really like this show. I can definitely see why a lot of people really like this show, but at the same time there are a lot of things that I don't really like. And I'm going to talk about what the problems with the show are. But let's talk about the plot of Girls. Plot of Girls is pretty simple. We follow this girl, Hannah. She is this girl that wants to be a writer, um, and she's a writer and everything. And she basically ends up getting, shocked and everything because her parents end up visiting her and they announce that they will no longer financially support her because, they've done that since her graduation and everything. But now they think, she's in her 20s and she's, on a good path and everything. So they think that she can, get a good job and things like that and will, is able to take care of herself. Now, really, what the show, though, about is and kind of like the adventures that she has with all of her friends, all of her friends that are friends, basically all these girls, what their lives are, and that's basically the plot of Girls. That's really all you can really say when it comes to the plot of Girls. That's really all you can say. Now, a lot of things I was definitely looking forward to in the show, and I'm going to talk about what really works in the show. Right off the bat, the thing that works so well in the show, again, I don't dislike this show. This is really one of those shows. A lot of people say this is a love or hate kind of show. For me, I'm very in between. There are a lot of episodes that I really, really liked, and then there were a lot of episodes that I really didn't like. Now, let's get to the cast and characters of this show overall. What I really like about the show, the characters. Lena Dunham is our main star here. Now, she of course got all those Emmy awards and everything. She creates the show, and let me say this: she definitely deserves it because her character, she plays Hannah. Now, what I like about her character that she is not really a nice character. She's not. She's not a nice character. Also, guys, before I talk about the characters, one thing you'll notice that yes, this show is called Girls, and obviously, I am not a girl. I am a straight 16-year-old male. You guys are probably saying, what the hell are you doing watching this kind of show? Well, I've heard it's very funny, and I've heard really everyone can like it, and I've heard it's very realistic. And that's one of the things I do really like about the show is the realisticness of it. This is a show that honestly anybody could watch. You don't have to be a girl to like this show. You can watch this show at any point, and you will probably enjoy it because honestly, it really shows the real kind of girls that there are. Each one of these different types of girls, there is a girl like that. For example, Hannah's character, she's very narcissistic, she's very into herself, and I like that about her character. You don't really like her, and a lot of times you're like, why are we exactly rooting for her? And a lot of the episodes, you're kind of wondering, like, why am I rooting for her? Why do I care about her? And I think it's just because the way that Lena Dunham does her character. She really portrays Hannah as a very narcissistic but vulnerable girl. A lot of times, there are a lot of things to be very vulnerable about, whether you feel bad for her, whether you just, whether someone like Hannah, you, for whatever reason, you feel bad for her and you don't really know why, but you feel bad for her character. And I think that definitely Lena Dunham portrays that very very well. That's one of my favorite things that this show does is she portrays her character very well, very well. My only complaint with her character is sometimes her storylines can get a little bit boring. There were some storylines with her that I thought was a little bit boring, but overall I thought Lena Dunham did a very good job. She's definitely deserving of all those Emmys she gets. She has some very good dramatic scenes as well. Definitely, it's one of the best things that Lena Dunham does. She knows how to handle dramatic scenes. She also is very, very funny. Definitely, I think she is very funny, and I think she knows how to be funny, definitely. Allison Williams, though, as Marnie, is definitely one of my favorite characters on the show. I love her character, Allison Williams. I've kind of, I didn't really know too much about her, but I saw her in Peter Pan Live, and I was definitely on the lookout for her in this because I know that Girls is what got her started and what made people realize, oh my god, this girl can sing. And man, can she sing. Because we find out in season 2 that she can sing. Now, I will say this. Her plot was not really interesting till season 2, till she started the whole music thing. When she had that boyfriend that she was kind of rude to, I thought her character was good, but she's basically a bitch. That's her character. She pretty much is just a bitch. She is throughout the whole show. But I think her character got a lot more interesting when she decided to pursue music because then, we started to hear more of her singing and everything. And I like seeing that definitely. Definitely a lot of her storylines have to do with that. But as I said, she again, just like Hannah, she's not really a nice girl. But everybody has that kind of person that they know. Every, girl or someone, everyone has that kind of friend that's sort of bitchy, and they're not bitchy to them, but they're bitchy to other people. And I think that Allison Williams portrays that very, very well. I definitely really like her character, and I think it's good that she portrays herself that way. Now let's get to my least favorite character on the show, Jemima Kirky as Jessa. Now I will admit, she's very funny at times. She definitely is very funny. But I never really liked her character. I never really got into her character. And it's not so much that I don't like her character. I just think it's more of, I just think her character was very wooden. There wasn't really anything that I really liked about her. I didn't really like her character as much. I thought the other characters were definitely more interesting. And when we went to her storylines, I was never really into it. I never was really into her plot. Don't get me wrong, she's a very good actress, but the only reason she's on this show is because her and Lena Dunham are actually best friends in real life. That's why she's actually on this show, I think. And don't get me wrong, she fits very well into the ensemble, but I think her character is just kind of lackluster. But by far, the best character on this show, the character that stole the show from me, the character that once I saw, I'm like, she's gonna be my favorite character. Zozaya Mamet as Shoshana, I think her name is absolutely hilarious. She steals the show in every scene she is in. I loved her character. I love her character. She's fantastic. Honestly, she is picture Awkward's Tamara. If she were to grow up and be a full adult woman, she would be Shoshana, because Shoshana is exactly Tamara grown up, and that's what I love about Shoshana's character. And honestly, out of all the girls, Shoshana is the nicest one. She's not a bad person. She's actually very vulnerable. Now, she is slightly crazy. She is definitely slightly crazy, as we can see. But I love her character. I think she's so funny. She really portrays a lot of her lines very, very well. She's very fast talking and things like that. And she's also the youngest of the group, so a lot of her storylines have to do with college and things like that. There's a great storyline where she's never had sex and things like that. I really thought, honestly, out of all the people that get me laughing, she made me laugh the most. She was the funniest, and whenever she came on the screen, I just loved her character. I know a lot of people really are annoyed by her, but let's face it, we all have that friend that's really annoying, and that's Shoshana. Shoshana is that friend that just starts up and won't stop. She just won't shut up, and I think that's great about her character. And she's not annoying. She actually is a very funny character, and she actually has very good storylines. And I gotta admit, when she has good storylines, she has really good storylines, and I think Zozaya Mamet definitely did a very good job with that. Now let's get to probably the most controversial character on the show, and I say he's controversial because he is the most controversial scene on this show. Adam Driver as Adam is Hannah's on and off boyfriend. Sometimes they're together, sometimes they're not, and I don't really like these two together. You don't really know if you want to ship these two together or not because of how unstable they both are. Like, they both really do love each other. But there's a point where it's kind of like, why are these two together if all they do is just yell at each other? Because in season 1, all they do is yell. Season 2, they break up, and then season 3, they get back together. And when they got back together in season 3, I kind of lost interest in Adam's character. He honestly just became the love interest for me. I wasn't as interested in his character as I wanted to be. I didn't really care much about Hannah and Adam's relationship. I really wanted to care about it, but I didn't. And there were only a couple times where I really did care about the relationship, and I never really got into their relationship that much. However, I did really get into Alec Karpovsky as Ray. I think he was a very good character. Now, the thing I like about his character is that he is also not a very nice guy, but I really love the friendship between him and Charlie early in the show. Charlie is Marnie's ex-boyfriend. I think he's very good. He's a great character. He's actually the only guy in the show that's not a complete dick, and Ray also is. I do think that I did like when he had those relationships with Shoshana and Marnie. They were good relationships, but the guy was pretty much a dick. He wasn't really a nice guy or anything, but I thought overall he was. He did a very good job. But Andrew Rannells as Elijah, I've seen Andrew Rannells in a lot of things. The Book of Mormon, that show, The New Normal, was okay, but he is great in this show. What I love about his character is that he kind of is the best friend to Hannah, but at the same time he's her ex-boyfriend, but he's actually gay, and there's kind of some times where he pretend, he wonders if he's bisexual and things like that. And I think his character is very, very funny. He's basically he basically is the definition of a gay guy, and he's really funny to watch, but I think he portrays that very, very well. It's not, annoying or anything. He's a great character, and whenever he's on screen, I really love his character. There's some great, when they had that whole arc in season 2 when Hannah moved in with, Elijah for that very short amount of time. I really liked that dynamic. I was sad to see him go. He left to do The Normal, and now he's going to be on the show full time, which I am very happy about because I really like his character. Come season 4, that's where he's going to be. He's going to be on the show full time. Now, the directing in the show, I think, is very good. The directing is not really the strongest part of the show. One of my problems with the show, honestly, is the editing. The way they do some of the storylines, I honestly feel this show has too many storylines in episode. It does. They give each one of these girls a storyline, and they're not always that interesting. Sometimes they're very boring. Sometimes they're very stupid. Sometimes they don't really go with the episode. And a lot of times it really bothered me because I wanted to like the episodes more than I did. And as the episodes progressed, I'm like, I don't really like where this is going. I don't like this storyline, but I love this storyline. And I wasn't just going to judge an episode from one storyline. I'm going to judge it as all the storylines combined. Do they really work as a whole? Season 1, it works perfectly. Season 1, all the storylines are great. I think all the storylines in Season 1 were fantastic. Season 2, it works really well. By Season 3, this writing, I don't know. I think it got lazy, in my opinion. I think just they try to do the same thing. Season 2, they have this really cool thing where they do a split story dynamic where basically everyone is separated, and I think it's very well done. Honestly, Season 2 is probably my favorite season because everyone is separated. Season 3 honestly got pretty boring. By Season 3, they tried to do the same thing they did in Season 1. It really did not work. They brought back some of the same elements, and I wasn't really into Season 3. I gotta be honest, I really started to lose interest in the show. And honestly, that's because the show really, it's not laugh out loud funny. It's not. I was expecting to laugh a lot more at this show than I wanted to, and I didn't. I didn't find the show as funny as everyone else does, and I don't know, it might be like very dry humor or something like that, but I honestly feel the humor kind of got a little bit, it decreased more and more as the show went on. It kind of disappointed me because I wanted to laugh more. Season 1 was very funny. There were some very funny moments. Season 2, they definitely went in a very dark direction. Then Season 3, they try to get back to that fun aspect of the show that Season 1 was, and it really did not work because I liked the darker direction they were going in Season 2, and it worked very well for me. And then Season 3, it's like, nope, we're not doing that. We're going to abandon that. We're going to go back to the fun direction. It didn't really work for me. I wasn't really a fan of that. It kind of bothered me, honestly. It really did. I do think that the, cinematography, all that stuff is very good. Now, I am going to talk about Season 3, some of the things that happened in Season 3, of course, that I do definitely want to talk about. As I said, I did really like a lot of the storylines in Season 3. Definitely. Of course, Shoshana, as we know, she's not graduating from college because of that whole thing that happened to her. That was very funny when that happened. I thought that was very well done. As I said, Jessa's storyline I really did not care for. When we had that whole episode that focused on Jessa and Marnie, not Jessa and Marnie, Jessa and Hannah going to visit her father, I wasn't into it because I don't really like her character. I really didn't. And I will say, there are some times when the show does struggle a little bit, and that's because it basically is Hannah's show, and that's kind of Lena Dunham's fault because she's the creator of this show, so obviously she wants to focus most on her. The problem is that sometimes Hannah's storylines are not particularly interesting, and I sort of like some of the other storylines more. Sometimes I like Marnie's storyline more. Sometimes I want to focus on Shoshana's storyline more. Those really are my two favorite characters. Marnie and Shoshana have to be my two favorite characters on the show. Marnie, just because of how good Allison Williams is, and Shoshana because she's just so funny, and she makes me laugh the most. And honestly, she is the best part of the show, in my opinion. Honestly, if I had to pick the most entertaining thing in the show, would be Shoshana, really. I know a lot of people get very annoyed by her, but let's face it, she's the most entertaining thing about this show. She really is. I loved all the stuff with Marnie and her singing. I do feel bad for her. I understand, though, that she can't be in a relationship with this guy. He has a wife. She needs to understand that, you're not going to, and it kind of seems like now we're going to have a battle between the two of them. Like, she's going to still try to date him, but his wife's going to be, like, up her ass and everything. That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Adam and Hannah seem to be on a good place now. It seems like they're in a good place and everything. Hannah, the whole season was all about, is this book gonna work out? Is she gonna finish that novel and everything? And it seemed like things are going well for her. So it definitely looks like season 4 is gonna be a lot more uplifting. And that's kind of my problem with season 3, was a very sort of like, the tone was, that's another problem with the show. The tone does not always work. There's a lot of times where you don't know if you should laugh or you don't know if you should feel dramatic. And I think it's because of the way they portray some of the scenes. Like, they portray the show as a very fun show. But there are those times when it gets very, very dark, and it's hard to see, okay, should I laugh here, or should I just, or should I feel bad for these characters? Thing is, none of these characters are really likable, minus Shoshana. That's the only character that's really likable. Because let's face it, Hannah is is a narcissistic, he's narcissistic. Marnie's just a bitch. Jessa is just very rude and everything. And Shoshana, there's nothing bad. Shoshana, I don't think there's anything bad about, because she's the innocent one of the group. She's the one that got stuck in, that's with this group basically because they're her friends. She's really the nice one. Honestly, a lot of times this show does remind me of Mean Girls. I will definitely say that. I saw the movie Mean Girls. It definitely is kind of in that style, but I'd say a lot of people compare the show to Sex and the City, which I can't, because that's a complete girls show that I will never watch. I know my mom loves that show. But if you guys compare it to that, I can understand why. I know season 2, a lot of people had a lot of problems with that. As I said, season 2 really was my favorite, because I like seeing the dynamic of Hannah being all alone, and I didn't really like season 3 when everything just got uplifting for her. I like seeing more of her journey. The time jumps in the show don't really work either. The show takes a lot of time jumps when the season comes back, and it doesn't exactly work. And it kind of caught, every single time they did that, it caught me off guard, and it really kind of bothered me. And season 3 really just dragged on. It did not need to be 12 episodes. It didn't. They could have done 10 episodes. I breezed by the 10 episodes so quickly. And season 3, I was like, pick it up. Like, season 3 was so slow, in my opinion. It's a half an hour an episode, and that's a problem. When your half an hour show is 12 episodes, and I have a problem with that, that's really a problem. I really feel that Girls is starting to lose its formula. It's starting to lose what makes it such a good show. And it's kind of is bothering me, honestly. It really is unfortunate, because I really did like this show, and now I feel like it's starting to lose its formula. Hopefully they can improve with that in season 4, but we'll have to see what ends up happening. But that's basically for my review of Girls Season 4. Now, I will talk about what Season 4 is going to be. Basically, apparently, Season 4 is going to be them realizing that their life is not going to get any easier, and they need to realize that their life is basically just life. That's the other thing I really like about the show, is they portray life as life. A lot of people say the show is very, very slow and nothing happens. And nothing happens every episode, because in your life, just there are things that don't happen. Not everything that happens in your life is so exciting. And I like the show really portrays that very, very well. There's one episode where it's just Hannah and this guy having, like, this very short, like, sexual tryst, and having, like, one day together, her and Patrick Wilson. It's one of the best episodes in the entire show, because it really just shows Hannah's life and where it's going. I think it's very well done the way they do that. But other than that, that's really all I'm going to say about Girls. Overall, would I recommend you guys check out the show? Yes, I would recommend you check out the show. No, it is not as good as Shameless. It is definitely not as good as Shameless. It's not as good as I wanted it to be, unfortunately. I do think that Silicon Valley is a funnier show, unfortunately, and that's big for me to say. I did not expect that I would say that, but I really do think that Silicon Valley is a better show. But if you guys like the show, let me know what you think of it. I personally really do like the show. I just have a lot of problems with it. I really do. And it's very slow at points. But I'll see you guys in my next video. I don't know what it's going to be for. I really don't know. We'll see what my next video is. I think it's going to be for the next show I'm going to be... Actually, no. My next video will probably be for tomorrow's episode of The Missing, because I just realized The Missing's on tomorrow. So that's going to be an extra review. It's for tomorrow night's episode of The Missing, or it's going to be for some sort of movie review, because maybe I do know that there are a few 2015 movies that are actually online already on Solar Movie, so maybe I'll check out one of those. I don't know, but... I'll see you guys in the next video. Let me know what you guys think of the show. Honestly, yeah, I would recommend this show. I really would. Just know that it changes tones a lot. It is definitely a dramedy. Sometimes it doesn't exactly work, but if you love, like, characters that aren't very nice, or characters that are kind of, not really good characters, like they're not really good people, but you like watching them, then I would recommend Girls. If you don't, then you'll at least get some funny stuff from Shoshana, but that's it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.